Hey guys, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty. Yes, your friendly neighborhood Frugal, and today I'm going to be discussing the top and bottom comics of September 27th, 2022. Alright guys, I have my notes here and there rattling around. This is going to be my views on the top and bottom 3 comics of the month, and I also give a little overview of the ones in between. Now, once again, I don't have time, for the ones that haven't seen this anyway, I don't have time to read every single comic or the dollars. That would cost an astronomical amount, but I get a good selection, and I don't look for anything necessarily egregious to complain about. I look for things I hope to be good in some cases, and so there I just read, and I read, of course, what I want to read, and I share my thoughts. So if you think I'm missing something that I should cover, by all means, let me know. If you think I'm wrong about something, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments below. I hear all those wonderful comments all the time. So today, let's start with the top 3, and then we're going to go to the bottom 3. And you're going to want to stick around all the way through to the bottom 3, because boy, do we have one today. All right. So in a week that I thought was going to be ho-hum, because it was all going, there is something that threw it off. All right, so let's start with the top 3 here. I'm going to go right to my notes. My number 3, I gave it to DC vs. Vampires number 9 with a 7.4 out of 10. You know, I've been enjoying this series. Green Arrow in this issue is absolutely amazing. So if you are a Green Arrow fan, this is a book for you, okay? It was cool. I'll give it that. And Evil Aquaman was awesome too. Now, I'm not going to say if you were an Aquaman fan, check this out, because, well, let's be honest, how many people are really that big of an Aquaman fan? Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired. Anyway, but Aquaman was pretty cool as a bad guy in this too. It's really, overall, it's a very fun issue. I just wish the art was better in it. If the art was better, this would rank higher. But once again, this is number 9 out of 12. And I gave it a 7.4. So far, I think this is a series that you really can't go wrong checking it out. All right, my number 2. This is one that I think you should get. By the way, just in case you aren't aware, if you're new, 7 is average for me. Okay, 7, any above 7 is higher than average. All right, so my number 2 is Task Force. I can't even speak. Task Force. It's Task Force Z, number 12, the final issue of the miniseries, and I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, this is the conclusion, but really, if you read the issue, it says it's not really the end. And this is one of those deals where, you know, I think they're going with that series kind of mentality. They're going to do so many issues in a chunk and then put a new name on it and a new number 1 to generate additional sales, which I'm not a fan of. I wish you'd just keep it as an ongoing. But I really do enjoy this issue. Once again, if you are a Jason Todd fan, I've been saying this throughout this whole series. This is one that you should probably check out. I've been really enjoying it. The art is decent. It's a solid story. And it really made me appreciate some characters I wouldn't have thought I would before. I do recommend getting all 12 issues of this series. I was impressed by it. I don't think it'll disappoint, and I hope it wouldn't disappoint you. All right, my number 1. This one's a little interesting because the cover was really a shocking cover, but I didn't really like the cover, to be honest, and that's Amazing Spider-Man number 10. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man number 10. I gave this one a 7.6 out of 10. The cover, I mean, it makes you want to check it out because it's Gwen Stacy on the cover, but look at her face. I mean, what's going on there? But to be honest, the cover was deceiving, and let's be honest, we knew it was, right? The art was not great in this issue at all. The art was a major fault in this issue. I think this would have got a higher score, a little higher, if it would have had better art. The art was really not that great, but the story was quite touching. So when I said the cover was misleading, I don't really want to give away this issue. So let me say this. I'll give away a little bit, but not the whole thing. Gwen Stacy comes back. I'm going to tell you that. But probably not the way you'd guess, or for the time you'd guess. How about that? Overall, I gave this once again a 7.6 out of 10. Now, once again, stick around for my bottom number 1 is, this one's a ranter. This one's going to make me rant. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to these people here. These people continue to help support this channel, and that's why this channel is here. They help with my Patreon and Subscribe Star, which enables me to have the ability to afford these comics and things to do these reviews. So without these people, really, this would not be possible. Thank you. If you want to help join and help support me, because we really could use all we could get. I do not monetize my YouTube, so this is how I get all my funds there, is this way, by people and their support. So it ensures that I give my honest reviews. So anyway, you hit my Subscribe Star, or you can help my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, where you get special videos as well as other special things like music stuff, where you get music backing tracks. So if you're a YouTuber, you get free tracks already that you don't have to worry about getting copyrighted, or other things that I'm additionally adding in there. So once again, special things just for you. It is even giveaways. Alright, so once again, thank you to these people. And moving on, here we are, the bottom 3. And then I'm going to go over the ones that fall in the middle. Now, here we go. My number 3, this one sort of surprised me. It's been going a little downhill. I really enjoyed it at the start, and that's Blood Syndicate, Season 1, number 5. Now, it still gets a 7 out of 10. Not a bad book per se, but it's just not as good as it's been. Now, it's nice to see that Icon is taken down a peg, because everyone's like, oh, Icon's always so powerful. And the reason I say that I'm happy to see he's taken down a peg is not that I don't like the character. It's just, it's showing the power and how tough this new evil character is. Now, I'm usually not for that, trashing characters to show how powerful a character is, but I didn't just do it as in a physical thumping. The villain used his brains and showed how he has things under control, and I think it adds an element to that evil character. So I like that, and it has good art. The story's been fast-paced, and it's a decent issue. So far, even though this is in my bottom 3, it doesn't mean it's a bad book in any regard. Alright, now my number 2. Now we're hitting bad book territory here. This one has been a great big disappointment to me. I sort of seen the writing on the wall, but I kept my mouth shut because I was hoping for the best. And that's Thunderbolts number 2. I gave it a 6.9 out of 10. Yep, we're hitting under average results here. So let's talk about that. First of all, the art is decent at best, but it's really missing an opportunity. The story is just not that good, which stinks because it has some interesting characters, ones that we don't know a lot about, some that we deserve some more attention that we could get and get more information. It's great to see Monica Rambeau. It's great to see Hawkeye leading a team. It's great to see the new Power Man, and some of how the interwoven discussion works from them and the characterization, but the story just isn't that good. And this is a comic that maybe needs to be a little more serious in tone. And it's almost like they're trying to be too goofy, and it just doesn't work. So they're really missing out on a great opportunity. The story overall needs a better hook. It's just when you read a good issue, it should hook you in to want to read the next. And I'm failing to get that from this, which really, really stinks. You know, I was really hoping U.S. Agent would be in it too, but hey, that is what it is. So once again, Thunderbolts number 2, only a 6.9 out of 10. Now the next one. Ooh. Ouch, this one hurts. This one deserves to be in the dumpster pit. This one was absolute garbage, and this hurts me to say, but I almost can say I told you so. Is last week I mentioned I said I read in one of these issues, and there was an advertisement for a comic in it, right? And I said, ooh, I have a bad feeling about this comic, and well, sadly, it did disappoint. Tim Drake, Robin, number 1. And I gave it a 3 out of 10. That's insult numbers, by the way. That's saying this is a garbage book, stay away. The art is absolutely atrocious. My 10-year-old son can do better than this. Really, he can. He's done it. He showed me. He was looking at it, and he's like, is that a picture of a gun? And he's like, what happened to... And the first thing he's seen is, what happened to Tim Drake's neck? It's like, I know, the art is absolutely horrendous. You know... Another issue, too, is the characterization of Tim Drake. Now, I know all the people are going to come out to get mad at me if they hear this, and I'm a homophobe and all that. That's not the case. First of all, I've said before, I'm a big Tim Drake fan. I read all his miniseries. I read his ongoing series. And though his transition into his new version of sexuality doesn't make sense. It's better, I will say, than Iceman's. They sort of gave a ramp up to it, but it never made sense. It never really fit Tim Drake. If you understand him and Spoiler's relationship, this makes no sense at all. But on top of that, they once again, this is a common problem with some of these writers. They put the sexuality above all, and we're seeing that in this issue. And they dumb down Tim Drake, too, and how good he is. A normal person will never sneak up on Tim Drake. He's better than that. There's no way his training has been too good. But his boyfriend sneaks up on him. Or his boy he's dating. They're not official yet. So, that didn't make any sense. And how do I put this? The way they wrote it and his feelings that they show from Tim Drake makes a mockery out of Tim's past relationship with Stephanie Brown. And so if you enjoy the character and know the character, this is a slap in the face. So bear that in mind. And on top of that, Tim Drake in this issue can't think and act at the same time. Tim Drake is highly trained. Is he the best fighter in the Robin family? No, he's not. But he's highly skilled and been trained significantly well and can hold his own. And he's the smartest. He can think and fight at the same time, but evidently he can't in this issue. And then on top of that, if you're a Tim Drake fan, I don't see why you can get in. The story just doesn't really have a good hook. The dialogue is terrible. I mean, very gay father. Once again, sexuality is thrown in there on purpose just for the sake of doing it rather than having it flow. If they made it a true, more organic flow, I could be fine with it. So I don't have anything necessarily against the relationship other than it didn't make sense. But it's written poorly. With making sure they throw that kind of dialogue in there. And it's in several instances, it was thrown in, things like that, on purpose. That's an agenda over story, and that's when you're running into problems. The story lacks a really good hook, too. A good comic book, especially a first issue, introduces new people to the character, doesn't bombard them with past information, and hooks you into the story to make you want to read more. Whereas this one fails pretty significantly. It does it okay of introducing you to the character, but it gives too much back history, too much baggage to bring along on a number one issue, and it doesn't really have that good of a story to hook you in to read issue 2, and definitely the art isn't there to support it either. If you're brand new to Tim Drake, Robin, I still can't see you getting this book and enjoying it. I mean, I could see that having a better chance if you knew nothing of Tim Drake. But even then, I don't see why you want to continue reading it. So if you're a Tim Drake fan that's been a big long-term Tim Drake fan, you're probably absolutely going to hate this issue. I know I did. And that disappoints me because Tim Drake was my favorite Robin, and I want to see him do well, but I was afraid when this writer was getting a hold of the character, it wasn't going to be good. And then when I seen the art, it was downhill fast. All right, well, those are my bottoms. So let's talk about the ones that fell in between. The ones that went in between, let me see here. I gotta look at my list to make sure I don't screw this up. Okay, those all were covered. Okay, here we go. Ant-Man number 3. Yeah, I gave this a 7.2. The art was okay, but really nothing special. But I am looking forward to the next issue. This is a nice little update on what happened to Hank Pym as well as Ultron. I like how Scott and his daughter get along in this story, too. I think that's the great point here. The great point of this issue is how Scott and his daughter get along, how they conversate. Is that a word, conversate? How they converse? But I enjoyed that. So once again, 7.2. Next one is Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 5. Gave it a 7.1 out of 10. Marvel needs to stop, in my opinion, trying to make Sam to be out as Steve Rogers. And what I mean by that, he uses the same terms, the same statements and things, and you'll see that. I can do this all day. We get it. You want him to be Captain America, Marvel. We get it. Okay? Quit trying to make him Steve Rogers just with black skin. Make him the Falcon, or make him Sam Wilson, the character he is. And once again, for anybody that thinks I'm being rude or racist, I am a huge Falcon fan. I have Falcon action figures and Falcon pictures and things, along with my Captain America stuff, in my office right here. So don't even start with that crap. That's baloney. I'm a fan of Sam Wilson. That's why I'm not a big fan of this. In general, I think it's disingenuous to the character. Let Sam be his own person. Let me repeat that. Let him be his own person. That's why we like him. The art was solid in this book, and it was a decent story. So once again, 7.1 out of 10. I read Fortnite X Marvel, and this was the last Zero War. It was number 5 of a 5-issue series. I gave it a 7.01. It was its final issue. It was a decent story. It's good if you're a Fortnite fan. If you're not a Fortnite fan, it's not that big of a deal. You could probably just skip the whole set. But if you're a Fortnite fan and a Marvel fan, or a Marvel fan that dips their toe in Fortnite, you might want to check it out. It's not terrible, just not wonderful. Alright, we had Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, because, we had to put 10 rings in there because the movie, and this is issue number 3, and I give it a 7.05 out of 10. It's a decent story, and the art has continued to be decent in this book. But I asked myself when I read this, is this really enough to sell a comic book? Being decent and okay continuously isn't quite enough. This book needs a little nudge. It needs something to make it a little better. It's just not quite there yet. Come on, you can do it. Alright, so there you go. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books. And I gave you my thoughts on all. I would like to know, did I miss any that you think I should have checked out? Is there any that you thought were absolutely terrible? Or do you think my thoughts were wrong on some of these? Feel free to let me know why. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. But before I go, just want to say, hey, you're special. Don't forget that. Take care of yourself. Alright, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, keep it frugal.